Welcome back. I'm excited to inform you that I've reached one of my chess milestones, which was breaking 1200 in Rapid on chess.com. As you can see from the screenshot I made on the app right after I won the game. I had just gained 8 points, going from 1195 to 1203. And that felt pretty nice. I am aware that there's no guarantee I will keep that rating, that easily I could lose my next few games, drop back down into the 1100s. But now I know that it's possible, and I have finally cracked it. So that's one milestone out of the way, many more yet to come. I'm going to go through the game relatively quickly, and hopefully it's not too boring for you. I know I missed a couple of opportunities here, but all in all, it wasn't a bad game for me. And it started with the Scandinavian. Now here in the beginning, my opponent played the best moves on almost every turn through the opening, or at least until I deviated. For example, taking the pawn is the best move. When I played the modern variation, going after that pawn with my knight, they played the best move, which is d4. In several evaluations that I've run on various sites, that's White's best move at that point. And honestly, here, I couldn't remember what my best move was. It says to take the pawn with my queen on Stockfish's suggestions, but I took with my knight. And they played... The c4 might have been slightly better than what they played, but it's pretty close to developing their knight, and they're getting ready to get this bishop out somewhere in order to castle. And then I've lost some of the advantage of the Scandinavian, which is kind of the surprise, the jolt of it, and getting a lead in development. In order to keep that lead, I brought this knight out, and they developed their bishop poorly. Perhaps they saw that this knight was aiming for that pawn, and maybe in the heat of the moment didn't realize they already have two pieces guarding that pawn. But regardless, it puts that bishop in a place where I can take it, and the only way that they can take back is to damage the pawn structure around their king. So that put me up a little bit, but neither my opponent nor I got beyond +1 or -1 for quite some time. We stayed fairly even throughout this next, 15 moves or so, making among our best moves or close to it. This, I do remember seeing this in previous evaluations, that e5 is the best move here, but I didn't remember that during the game. And I guess the idea is that, okay, according to the Stockfish line, if I play that, they won't take back here. They'll actually castle instead, and then I won't take. I will actually move my pawn once more, putting pressure on this pinned piece, because the knight is currently pinned to the queen. And I guess if they do take, then I can trade queens here and ruin their right to castle, leaving their king temporarily stranded in the middle. I guess that's the idea of that. I'm going to try to remember that for future games. Regardless, I just played this, which not only blocks this diagonal, but also frees my other bishop. And I probably should have just moved my queen at some point and castled long, but I wanted to give myself the option to castle to either side. Again, among our best moves, we're staying between +1 and -1 throughout this. Sometimes we're playing the best move like my opponent did there, and here I did play my best move as well. I wanted to avoid any pins like this. Also, they're also leaving, I noticed that they're leaving open their option as to which side to castle. And I wanted to be prepared that if they did castle kingside and then started a pawn storm here, I wanted to be ready to do something about that. So kind of a multi-purpose move, which did turn out to be the best. My opponent played the best move, which is long castling. And I played my best move here too. So again, we're staying pretty close to 0, within striking range of 0. I played my best move here, which the idea, of course, is to either be able to take this pawn with check, and if the king moves to protect that pawn, or moves the pawn, then I get the bishop for the knight. And the king did move, and I took the bishop for the knight. I should have just castled here. Oh well, I saw the queen on an attackable diagonal, not realizing until it was too late that pawn could just move forward, which it did. Giving white a little bit more space in the center, but I'm not bad off. I should have just blocked that with h5, huh? Yeah, but instead I blocked it with my bishop, which gets my opponent... Oh, did they go? They went over +1 for the first time right here on move 15. Okay. But they did not respond to that with their best move. They came forward, getting me to put my bishop here, which puts pressure, extra pressure on that pawn, which kind of ties down these two pieces to protecting it. Maybe that's why that move was good. Not sure. Also, it gets the bishop out of the way for my queen if I need it. Now that gives me the advantage. I'm not sure exactly why. I'm not sure what it did to the position. I played one of my two best moves, which was here. All I know about this is that it blockaded this pawn. From putting the knight in the center, it looked like maybe they were going to try to start pushing forward, and of course, they already have this battery here. That was the only thing I could think of. I didn't realize it was one of my two best moves. But I also saw that it was lining up here in case something happens in the future where I can, continue to march some of these pawns down. That's what I was thinking. Then they played that, which turns out to not be great at all. And I'm just supposed to do here. I didn't see that. I just took the knight, thinking that they would take back here, doubling these two pawns is what I was thinking, and then I would still have this, being able to move my bishop here and challenge the queen. But instead they took with their knight, which turns out to be a blunder and gives me my first advantage that's beyond -1. But it's only if I take this rook, which I did not see, much to my later chagrin. I did move the bishop here, which apparently I should have done on the previous turn, which isn't great. They should have taken that further over, I think. Now I can just take this pawn. And I did see this during the game, but I was worried about, I guess, one of the rooks coming over. I guess I shouldn't have been worried. In that case, I could have just retreated the queen back to where she is, or even further if I had wanted to at that point. Regardless, I did not take that, but I played one of my better moves, which was to finally put an end to this pawn's advance, the h-pawn. And I'm not sure why they went so far over there or what I was supposed to do about it, but again, I saw that I could continue harassing the queen and get my bishop out of the corner. So I did that. The queen went there. Oh, I'm supposed to castle? Well, I didn't see it. I decided, you know what? I've got pieces over here aiming down this way, and I've got pawns marching. I can castle a little bit later. I don't know what my opponent thought the idea was there. This turns out to be the blunder that put me in the driver's seat for this game. And I have multiple options to take this back. I spent some time here, I think. I don't know how much, I don't remember how much time, but I remember spending some time here and finally deciding to take with the bishop for multiple reasons. One reason is that it lines up the bishop and the queen toward that pawn down there on a2. The other reason is that it kind of backwards protects the f-pawn because it looks like the queen might be trying to come in here in a second. That might have been the reason that they made this move. Whatever the reason was, I did the best one and maintained the advantage. And now it says that the queen is supposed to take here. I don't know if that would have been the best move for them. Oh no, it's not saying that they should have. I misread that. That was a blunder when they did that. Okay. They did do that, and they were not supposed to do it. I got that backwards. Okay. And now I can. My battery's lined up. But I wasn't sure exactly how that would turn out, and I thought I can save a turn and protect this. Stockfish says I can take this with check. King is forced to move, and then I can long castle. I'm not sure why the move order makes that much difference. But I long castled first, which turns out to be my second best move, just not quite as awesome as taking the a2 pawn first. These two rooks now protect each other. My king is in a place where it can't be gotten at for some time. And I'm still aiming at that pawn. I guess, okay, that's the reason I should have taken the a pawn first, is because now they can play b3. But they didn't play b3. They played a3, which still allows the check on a2, which I did. Forced the king to move. And I wasn't sure if I was winning. I was worried about this move. I didn't know that it was listed as one of the best. I thought, wait, once the king moves, then do I just take this pawn? Or do I take this pawn, leaving my queen in the way of those rooks? What does it say? Oh, it does say I should have taken the b pawn. Well, I didn't do any of those. I took this pawn with check, which I know leaves this rook unguarded. But Stockfish is getting pretty close to finding mate. Oh, wow, I made the only good move here. Look, every other move is a blunder. Here I wasn't sure. Should I protect the rook this way? By taking that pawn and then protecting the rook. But I took the rook. And they took back. And I took back. And they took my rook, which I think was their best move too. With check, but now I move up and I'm safe. So, the rest of this is not that difficult to figure out. I didn't know that pawn move suddenly changed it from plus 10 to a mating sequence. It says E1 is the best possible, the one that leads to the mating sequence. Well, I got a mating sequence in less than 8 moves, so it worked out. I went to C1 first, and the king went there, and then I went here to F4, driving the king toward my other pawns, king and bishop, which is what it did, and I checkmated right there. So anyway, I broke 1200 against a player who was rated 1200 while I played them. So I'm not sure exactly what the next milestone is, but thank you for watching, thank you for your support, and we'll see you next time.